is K.Ho, and I am here in the Sunnyside neighborhood where we just had a great sale closed last week for property on Mango Street. We're here to see number 166 Joost Avenue, I think. And it's a really interesting fixer that hasn't been on the market in more than 50 years. And of course, if you don't know anything about this neighborhood, it's a great neighborhood you should learn more about. Like I said, we're here in the Sunnyside neighborhood. Now, the interesting thing about this neighborhood is that you do have a mixture of homes. You have Art Deco homes like the neighbor here and the one we're about to see. And one note from outside, it looks like they redid the driveway too. You can see this is relatively new, and you can see a new drainage pipe here too. Not sure if it was a French drain or a sewer lateral, but they redid this ramp angle going in. And then of course across the street and in other areas, you've got all the mid-century homes that we've seen so many of too. So it's a great neighborhood. Sunnyside is popular for location, and it's popular for its schools and the value, and a really good community feel. So first thing you'll notice out here, I like this garage, a little triangle thing. It's a really tall garage inside, and you've got that Art Deco window detail here. You've got little architectural element here, and then you have this curve and this nice little arch over the entry. A nice little feature that I hadn't seen before, you have a little bench. So you can hang out and chill with neighbors or just observe the block on a nice day. And of course, Joost, it goes up and down, and it's a really lovely one. So let's go in. Now you've got some terrazzo stairs. The owner here lived here, I think, for 50 odd years and passed away peacefully of natural causes. And now the house is ready for sale. The stairs coming up, they're a little steep, but he had a chair lift, and you can always come in through the garage. It's stucco, obviously. Let's see how wide these steps are before I go up further. 3'5", so it's 41 inches. Now, we come in here. Now, this is the layout we've seen a lot. You got the window here, you got the door, and it opens into this nice space. Kitchen is to our right. And I think that was remodeled in 2012, I want to say. And then, well, let's look here. So, when you first come in here, you've got this nice decorative archway that's repeated again on that side. And you've got the entranceway here, like I said, the return, the screams out closet, if it were me. And then you have the living room. Now, these are the older style windows. And remember, a lot of these homes might not have been insulated, so I suspect you're going to be upgrading your electrical. These are the old style 2-prong outlets with no grounding, so they're probably polarized, at least not polarized politically, but electrically. You got this wood burning fireplace that we would all consider decorative these days, but this one really is decorated. Look at that. You've got some nice floral details in the stonework. I like how the smokestack or the chimney goes that way. Firebox is down here, and then you've got this nice acanthus style ornamentation and a little bit of fluting. Now in here, like you said, window, yeah, I mean they're probably the old style double pane, but still I would get thicker ones, and then you could do more insulation here so you cut down on any sound. So over here, let's look at this. So ceiling height here is, let me see this here, 7'10". You do have a skylight above, so you could there's probably some, if you take this out to do electrical or ducting or adding recessed lights, you'd probably get a little more out of this if you wanted to. There is the view out the front side of the house, that tree that we saw. And then, let me walk you through this way to the kitchen. So the kitchen was redone, I think Julie said in 2012. It's the one where you've got the skylight above, actually a pretty decent looking skylight. And then you've got this sort of L-shaped style kitchen, pretty new refrigerator, newer, that's actually really nice, a dishwasher, and then you've got the stone here. So I think he did do the work here. You'll see there are many more interesting mixes of things, shall we say, downstairs. And you've got your utility pantry, ironing board here, and then you've got a gas stove. And I don't think Nope, not externally vented. But you're right here, so I would just do something like that. Now, let's continue. Actually, I went around so you could see the dining area too, because there is also another skylight here. Now, from the kitchen, you come out this way, and from the dining area, you go back here. Before that, here is your old telephone booth. I love this little feeling right here, or this little, it's neat. Now, we're going back here, we have the bathroom. Now, this is a vintage bathroom. We've seen this layout before, where you've got this sort of peachy colored tile, a separate shower with no light above, and then you've got this, the little light well area here. And this actually is quite warm because it is a greenhouse. Or is the skylight above? Yep, there it is. A lot of times, what people have done is that they will cut the shower off here and fill in the light well and make this an ensuite for this bathroom right there. Now on this side, you would turn this into a half bath. You know, a little toilet here, a little sink, and then you have this area as well. And maybe you give this skylight to the main bathroom, or maybe you shift it that way, as you could do something. I'll say that's a surprise for you in a second. Let's go through here. So back here, this is the bedroom. So bedroom here, you've got old school lights with the frosted glass details, and then you've got a shape where you've got a bay window back here, and you'll see that in a second. And then we've got the hardwood floors. Then you've got electrical and conduit, or in the flush mount thing here as well, and in your closet for your heels, of course. And then you've got this odd little drainage thing into the skylight, and it ends a little early here because the shower is on the other side. You could, like I said, reconfigure it so you have this walking into ensuite, into a bathroom there, if you fill that in, and then closet facing this way, closet facing that way, so you walk through your closet to get into the bathroom. It could be done, but it's up to you because maybe you want to configure it in a different way. Now, this gives you a look at probably the more significant part of the updates that you would want to do. It's just like many of the listings we've had here, and we've seen, but the grade and the terracing in the backyard is something that we'll take a look at outside, but that's probably, I would guess, one of the more major issues you want to do. Updating the electrical, of course, is one of the other ones, bathrooms. I mean, there's a lot to do. Now on this side, we've got the other bedroom, similar 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom back here, bigger window looking up towards the backyard and seeing your neighbors. Wow, they have a lovely rose collection over there and some rosemary. And over 2 houses, you can see they've done some nice yard improvements. The people on the next street, I think that's Mangles, will have decks looking out for the view. And this is your room. It feels bigger. Kitchen's on the other side here. Again, here for your heels. And this is the set of stairs going down. Now you could always do something about altering the stair path and trajectory. I remember houses in the Miraloma Park, and actually houses in Sunset will have that as well, where they've done some work that way. What else really like? These register covers. Pretty neat. I like the little Gothic things. These were used often, and the thing is that they don't really exist anymore. I mean, I know they make reproductions of them, but they're not ones you'd often find. So if you got the house, I'd keep those, sell them on eBay or Reclaim Place or whatnot too. I still really do like this part. And of course, the kitchen, remember, we were there for it, now we're this way. So, coming out of the stairs, actually not too bad. We've seen way steeper and way crazier ones. We saw something very interesting in the closet. Pretty neat. Let me show you this. In here, this is a civil defense bulletin to President of San Francisco, emergency preparations. Read, remember, and most importantly, obey. But during an air raid, and all clear, during a conflagration warning, interesting about that, the Civilian War Council in 1942, Mayor Angelo Rossi. And then over here, this is pretty funny. What every resident should do for your home gas shelters. And war gas self-aid stations, and I think there was more. Oh, in case of a gas attack. That was more interesting. In case of a gas attack, interesting. If you're outdoors, indoors, if you're exposed to gas, if possible, immediately get out of the gassed area. Pretty prudent too. Now, this actually also gives us a little view inside. Exterior, back of the exterior sheathing, and then you've got the old growth wood, the vertical framing here, and then this bay. This is the part where we're talking about insulation, and you could do probably better. Either it be rock wool, or whether it be closed cell, or even fiberglass. It just depends. Remember, we live in an interesting climate. So this, when I came down here, I was like, what is this? So you've got the old gravity furnace, right? But then you have this. It looks like it's something from Black Mirror or some kind of sci-fi thing, and it kind of is. It is a solar home battery. I love this little glow, and inside here is a whole bunch of stuff. Oh, she locked it. To close it? Let's see. Well, it was closed before it was open. You can see all the machinery inside, and you can see that they did update the electrical here. There is the main panel, and let's see. Let me plug this in. But yet, as I plug this in to the outlet, which has a bit of old wiring. See the old wiring here, and goes to the conduit there, and then you also have this. So it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition. This garage door is actually one of the quietest garage doors I've seen in a long time. And then this panel, you have lots of expansion slots here. So at least you got this part done, and you have your solar upstairs. And look at that, it's pretty robust. And your garage height, it's actually pretty tall. Now it ramps down, as you can see, from there to here, you ramp down. And then over here, you've got a little workbench, just like on the other side. And then there's your gas meter going out. And then you've got more stuff in conduit, and then you've got your gigantic gravity furnace. Once you redo all of this, and once you can move some of these away, that is probably most likely asbestos that's wrapped around the ducting vents. That's what they did in the past. And that's something that you'd have to have a professional remediate. You could leave it. A lot of times people will just wrap another layer of the shiny fiberglass around it. But it's something that if you want to capture the space back, or maybe you want to change your heating options, which you probably want to, you can relocate all of this. Water heaters back there. But let's take a look here. More of the old growth, and what I'm going to show you is garage width, because apparently people like it when I do this. The garage width here is about 8 feet, and then the height up here about 6 feet 6. And let's do the height from the tallest point here. And this is the interesting thing. So we go up towards the bottom of the joist there, and it's about 10 feet. 10 feet here, not too bad. And then let's see the slope up to here, and you'll see what's in there in a second. It is here to about 8'4". So pretty good. You got a nice run. And then from here to there, it is 19 feet. So a pretty generous garage. Again, here's the interesting thing. Conduit for electrical here. And then over here, you've got the old school sort of electrical. So it's a combination. Now back here, we have the stairs. You have a nice soapstone sink here. And then back under, more of the drainage that goes out here. More storage. And then under the front steps, you've got some copper pipes, more conduit and Romex there, probably for when they did the kitchen, they did that. And then down here, a water heater, and under the front steps, you'll see the brick on both sides. A lot of times you use brick, and then the terrazzo going under. And you can see here, there's the landing. You have some stuff that you're gonna do. So it's older, there's some wood there. I think there was some growth there. That's something that you'll do eventually. Speaking of something that's old school and pretty amazing, this beam is super robust. Look at that. It goes all the way, and it's so thick. No jokes, please, but it is, look at that. So let's go back here. Now this is where it gets a little more interesting. Now before we go on, I'm interjecting something here. One thing I want to point out, and respect to the previous owner, is this. So it looks like they did some work with the drainage here. I'm not quite sure, but you see this slab. This concrete part is different than the others. But what I was going to point out before is that there probably was a dryer here, and you notice he had a booster fan. And there's a little outlet, but the booster fan which is, oh, that's a great power. It's all wrapped in a good cable here. Actually goes to a rigid piece of ducting that goes 4-inch duct pipes that go all the way out there. So they did a really good job. It's not the little slinky hose or whatnot, but yeah, props to them. Respect for doing the right thing. And let's continue. So you have this step-up area, and then he put a bathroom in. Let's see how tall the step-up is, though. It is worthwhile to see because you don't really, let's see. Right now it's 11 inches here because you walk into this area here, which it is 6'9". So I just imagine the delta, it probably does slope towards this side, but you can probably lower this and have more space. Here is a bathroom. Apparently this was done with a permit. Now the funny thing is your view or your window looks out to your garage. So hello everybody, if you can see through. So shower, oh, actually that's a different shower enclosure than I expected. It's vinyl, but it's shaped like tile. There you go. Let's turn this back off so you can see, yeah, that's your view. Your view into here. Now this part then opens up to a kitchenette area. I didn't think it looked like a kitchenette at first because you've got the old school part here, but I kind of didn't know what I thought it looked like. There is a little vent that goes out for the old stove that was here. There's the gas hookup as well. And then you have this part. Let me see if I can open this and be smarter. I should be smarter than that. There was the deadbolt. Sorry, folks. Now, here we go. This is quite a part. So you've got this big retaining wall here. And you can see, you know, it's seen probably a long time here. So there's a little bit of cracking. You have drainage coming out here. And then you've got a hose that goes up, kind of like our listing of mangoes that goes up. So you have water there. And the backside, you have stucco. And bottom of the stucco, all this, you can see the water piles up there and goes to this drain. Probably same thing over here. They've done some work, probably the water. You know, this is something that if you redo all of this, I would probably pay attention to it because there are multiple levels. Here's one level, 2 levels, 3 levels, 4 levels, 5 levels, and I guess that's a 6th level. Let's see, let me see back here. There's a 6th level. Yeah, I suppose so. This is the 6th level up here. And now we are at the top of the property. Oops. I think there was lots of bamboo that was here before. A little compost bin, fence open here, fence open there, but take a look at the house. So that's where those solar panels are, up there. And you see they have a stucco background too. They're slightly different. They're slightly different times 3, but you've got this back area. So doing all of this work here, it's not going to be the least expensive thing you would do, but it would provide a lot of opportunity. A lot of the work like this, it really depends on what you want to do. For us, we would consult a geotechnical soils engineer to make sure you can do what you need to do. An architect, landscape architect perhaps, or there are other folks too, just because if you do any investment here, there are a lot of potential things you'd want to look out for, whether it be trying to level one part out, leveling another part out, and leveling another part out so you have 3 instead of 5, or maybe you want to turn it into something really amazing, like an outdoor living area. We've seen so many different variations of this, but logistics and coordinating, that's an important part too, because you'd have to go through here if you want to earth moving equipment, or maybe you just have to have people hand dig it out. There are a lot of things to consider, but this is probably, I would say, the more significant part of any restoration of this home is figuring out what you want to do back here. But it is a pretty neat area. You do get a lot of sun, and like I said, other people have done different things, and then this part back here, you can figure out what you'd want to do. I would suspect that you'd probably want to do a more effective or wider catch basin for a drain system, or the drain a la France, as I like to say. And you might want to figure out if you could do something where you have stairs going in the middle and going up here. But yeah, that's the part where, you know, there's always something, right? So yeah, what an interesting property. It's a fixer. It's listed with Julie over at K.Ho. And she was gracious enough to let us walk you through this pretty interesting home. You know, the detailing that they did, the kind of care and customization that the previous owner did, you can see it. You can see the original charm is still intact. You can see that there's a lot of opportunity, and there are all the cost centers that you might want to consider. Thank you to Julie Keith for letting us walk you through this great property. But yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. You can go full bore, change everything, but you can also do something very measured and considered, because you do have a lot of the charm and detail. You do have that curb appeal, you know, just freshen it up with what you want to do with it. And you have a lot of what ifs, but how, and yeah, it's just a home of possibilities. And I think it's one that obviously one I thought it was worth videoing. All right, everybody, it is K.Ho. Thanking you, losing my voice. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you at the next one. Till then, take care, everybody.